I've had a few cases where one of the things that happen to a lot of people is something called puberphonia, which happens to children, boys, when they are about to hit adolescence, the teenage years, where they continue to use their kid voice.
One advice that you would offer to Sachin Tendulkar?
I have a suspicion that his is a classic case of puberphonia not corrected at that particular age.
Look at Shubham Gill's voice has become a meme on social media.
Yes, I would love to coach our current test captain, Shubman Gill. Considering he's going to be maybe all format captain, he's going to be talking a lot on the microphone. So if anybody's watching and listening, forward this to Shubman Gill, please.
Meet Paran Thakur, the man who built his life from his voice and now helps others find theirs. From radio studios to global brands, he's coached leaders, creators, and storytellers to sound bold, deep, and unforgettable.
You know, Amitabh Bachchan was rejected
By All India Radio.
by All India Radio.
Yes.
And then he became the voice of the country.
He, I think, mastered this entire thing of the ability to bring your voice on a lower trajectory, on a lower scale. Even a Shah Rukh Khan today, and you listen to his voice earlier. Now I know for a fact that he's possibly done some voice training as well, because now he genuinely starts sounding much deeper. Or if you notice an Amir Khan, for example, he of course used to speak very fast also in his initial movies, and now he's paced himself a wee bit better, he's slowed down, etc.
When we say the person has got bad voice, what does that mean? I work as a practicing coach. I get to work with a lot of C-suite executives. And one of the common themes that emerge out of that conversation is that they would like to sound better. They would like to speak better. They would like to be better public speakers. And they struggle to make that happen.
Right.
And during one of our initial conversations, one of your taglines that says your voice matters, it stayed with me. Why do you say your voice matters?
Because it is the most powerful tool of your communication. All your thoughts, ideas, stories, emotions, we're all going to use our voice to convey them. Yes, we live in an age where we get away with writing a lot of things nowadays. There's a lot of chat that happens, etc. But when it comes to your overall presence, it is your voice which is going to make the difference. And Gaurav, one of the things that I realized was that I saw a bit of a gap between people's obsession with their visual image. So everybody is like, I got to have nice clothes, a nice watch, nice shoes, good grooming, good hair, good body, and all that is important, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, there were many a times that I observed that there would be people who would be looking the part, they would have big designations, they would be super edified, but the moment they opened their mouth to speak and we heard their voice, we're like,
And we have lost them.
yeah.
Now, repeat the answer to the same question in a different voice.
So I'm not much of a really good example of somebody who can play around that much with your voice. But yes, definitely I believe that most men have the ability to go at least 10 to 15% deeper when they speak. So I could talk to you at a pitch which is around here. So I'm around here, but then I can also take it to a lower pitch basically and maintain it over a period of time. So yeah, that's little bit of things that you can do where you can use a little bit more depth at important parts of the conversation.
Yes. So let's go a little deeper.
Okay.
Now, you have been listening to my voice. You have to rate that voice on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 means marginal. 10 means like, I would love to listen to this voice. And parameters are gravitas, warmth,
Okay.
jovial,
Okay.
and then give me 2 quick tips.
Okay. So I would say gravitas about 8, jovial about 9, and what was the third thing?
Warmth.
10. I think warmth also has a lot to do with your facial expressions as well. So you've been pretty welcoming, your warmth kind of keeps flowing in. One of the tips that I always like to begin with is the fact that your voice is very deeply connected to your breathing. Voice, if you see, what is voice? It's invisible sound waves that are being created, which are carrying to your ear. Now, I need air to be creating this sound. If there is no air, there is no sound. If I have a sheet of paper and we don't do anything with it, there's going to be no sound. But the moment we start shaking it, we're going to create sound. If there's a fan, but it's not moving, there's going to be no sound. The moment it starts moving, it will create sound. So sound needs air. Now in our case, it is the air pressure that we create with our inhale exhale. So one of the things that I notice is that a lot of people, they're not conscious about their breathing. When you were an infant, when you were a baby, nobody needed to teach you diaphragmatic breathing because you were naturally doing it. But as we grow older, it's only during the time that we are asleep that we are going back to diaphragmatic breathing. Otherwise, most people are either doing mouth breathing, shallow breathing, what is chest breathing, you're not taking the air all the way up till your tummy, diaphragmatic breathing, aka tummy breathing, where the air comes all the way, fills up your lungs
all the way
nicely.
down to your tummy.
Yes.
And
then you bring it out.
okay.
So one would be just to breathe diaphragmatically better, and one of the ways to do that would be to pause from time to time. When you pause, if you close your mouth fully, like I could pause but not close my mouth and I will still continue to do mouth breathing. There's no choice. But if I pause, and when I pause the next time, if I close my mouth fully, the body's instinct will be to breathe in from the nose. And when you breathe in from the nose, that is fantastic to also keep your vocal cords hydrated. Otherwise, you're drying them out. So first, we've got to check on the fact that your breathing is at the best that it can be for you to use your voice more effectively. We take our breath for granted, right? And we also take our voice very much for granted. So there's this very nice story that I once heard from one of my voice coaches, right? So it talked about the fact that there were two little fish who were swimming down the river, nicely enjoying themselves, where a large older fish crossed them, right? And said, "Hey boys, good morning. How's the water?" So both the fish, like,
Where is the water? What
so
are you talking about?
they continued to go to swim in puzzled silence until one asked the other, "What the hell is water?" Right? So the point is that one of the things that are the most obvious, important, and maybe even ubiquitous things in the world, we don't pay that much attention to.
You might not be even aware of that.
Exactly. And voice is one of those things. So a lot of people have this perception that, hey, this is my natural voice and there's nothing that I can do about it. Whereas the counter argument that I have is that the way that you use your voice is a series of habits and behaviors.
Beautiful.
Which got formed from the time that you had your parents as your first influencers, then you had certain teachers, certain friends that you were growing up with, that you started to emulate their vocal habits. And then your vocal habits could have been picked up by somebody who was doing a good job of it, but more often than not, it could be picked up by somebody who didn't have good vocal habits. So with a little bit of awareness, one can work on improving the quality of their voice.
When we say the person has got bad voice, what does that mean?
I would say there are bad vocal habits more than a bad voice. Of course, there are certain...
You would say that because you are a coach.
Right.
And you know that your vocal habits are impacting the voice. You are a voiceover artist as well. When you listen to the voice, you reject certain voices. What are the bases on which you reject certain voices?
I think there would be ones that would not be using some of the things that go into making a voice nice. So for example, one of the things that gets people to tune out is what is called as the monotone. So imagine that you have a piano which has 88 keys and you have the ability to play all the keys here. So you can go on a high note and you can go on a lower note. So the up and down that you can do. I'm walking up the stairs, I'm walking down the stairs. So there's an upward inflection or there's a downward inflection. Then there is no inflection, which is I am not walking up the stairs, I am not walking down the stairs. So that's monotonous, that's boring. So a lot of people have two pitches. They'll get a little excited and say, "Hey, Gaurav, hey!" And then they will go back to the same monotone. So that's one of the things. Now, the idea is to create vocal variation. That's what we try and teach more often than not, that the human mind gets bored if there is a same pattern. So if I speak to you at this rate of speech, but if I continue to speak to you at this rate of speech, after some time your brain is almost going to predict that this is what is coming up and it's going to zone out. So there are times when you can speak a little bit faster, when you're trying to create that energy and the excitement, and when you've got something important to say, you slow down. Now, immediately, I may not have been saying something important, but you think, oh, something important must be said right now because he's being so slow and deliberate about that. Yeah. So that's one of the things that you can do. Volume, again, people can play around with. That's the projection and the throw that you have in your volume, in your voice.
Yeah.
Then there is your tonality. People pick up your tone of voice before they pick up the actual words. So is your tone in congruence with the words that you are using? So, I mean, I've been on a Zoom call, maybe you have been and our viewers would have been as well, where you have somebody who says, oh, I'm really excited to see all of you here and we are going to have a good... And they don't exude that emotion, that tonality is missing when they're saying that they're excited and happy.
So what I'm listening is it's about the pitch, the pace, the pause, the tonality and the volume.
Yes.
You also spoke about that people, they don't have bad voice. They have got not so effective vocal habits.
Right.
What are the 3 vocal habits which are not supporting an individual to sound better?
So one, as I said, that the breath support is not there when you're speaking. So you hear a lot of people that would have the audible gasp. Because they're not breathing.
I have done this mistake several times.
So, you know, they're speaking and they're excited, but they're not pausing. So a gasp will come in. That's one of the things that will happen. The other thing that will happen is what is called as a vocal fry. So let's say I am speaking and I'm out of breath, but I will continue to go on speaking and my voice will have this creaky sound to it, which has been popularized by,
there's a fall that's happening.
Yeah, and it sounds almost croaky.
Yeah.
And it's a sound which has been popularized by some reality TV stars in the West. You know, they talk in that kind of tonality, which is considered to be the vocal fry.
Yeah.
So
there's a stretch in that voice.
Yeah, and they don't have air, but they're still kind of pushing it through.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things that I would say. And the third thing would be the ability to pause and pace yourself. People seem to be in a hurry, especially when they're moving from one thought, one idea to the other. Sometimes when you pause, you allow your audience to process what you've said much better. And pauses is also a very effective technique to help people get over the terrible habit of filler words. Yeah.
So when you work with executives, you work with business owners and entrepreneurs, also you train a lot of voiceover artists. What are the red flags that you notice at the very initial stage of the conversation that the voice is letting you down?
The majority of the people, even though they may be fairly senior in whatever they're doing, is the filler words and the non-words. And the problem with that is that takes away from your credibility and the flow of your message. So if I'm talking to you and I'm like, it stresses you out a wee bit. It kind of helps you think about other things that might be happening rather than focus in on what I may be saying. That's one of the things. The other thing is that when people are in high stakes environments, whether it is a negotiation, it's a pitch, presentation, and especially public speaking, there is that entire tendency of your autonomous nervous system to go into the sympathetic instead of the parasympathetic nervous system. So what happens is then the fight and flight mode kicks in. So people get very rushed in their delivery, the pitch increases, more filler words come in, because it's fight or flight, right? You want to get it over and done with and run away from there. So what we try and do is help them with certain techniques that live stage actors, public speakers know about, where you regulate your nervous system to go from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic, from the fight or flight response to the rest and digest response. Where you are relaxed, you are grounded, you are cool, calm, collected. Because nervousness will reflect in your voice before anything else. You can hear the nervousness.
You can experience it. You can feel it at the deepest possible level. Paran, if you can give me an example, a real example of an individual, because of his voice or her voice, it costed that person bomb. And that's when the person came to you.
Okay. So I've had a few cases where one of the things that happen to a lot of people is something called puberphonia, which happens to children, boys,
Yeah.
when they are about to hit adolescence, the teenage years, where they continue to use their kid voice. It's more of a psychological thing, and they're not ready to accept that their manly voice is now there. Now, because it goes untreated, it takes a little while for that real manly gravitas of the voice, the depth, the bass, etc., to come into the picture. So I've had a few cases where it was a case of an extended puberphonia which has been not detected, and they went through life pretty much with that high-pitched voice, and they felt that there's nothing they can do about it. But then you obviously got to teach them about some of the ways in which.
So does it mean that that high-pitched voice can be worked upon?
Yes, yes. With the right amount of training. Now, the training involves a lot of humming, for example. So, like if you look at singers, most singers, in their riyaz, they will have humming.
Yeah.
Because they want to get familiar with what are the different frequencies they are capable of hitting.
What's
Can they hit a high note? How low can they go, etc. So, I always say that when you're training somebody on their voice, you are not only treating the voice, but you're also treating the ears. You're also training yourself to hear your own sound. So, for example, when I meet somebody initially and they say, "Sir, can we develop a deeper voice?" I said, you know what? For that, you're going to have to get rid of feeling fake, phony, inauthentic when I ask you to speak like that. Because initially that will happen. If I ask you to suddenly start speaking like this, you'll say, "This is not me."
That's not me.
Right? But the thing is, if you're capable of making that sound, then that is you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's about.
Yeah, it's like you have this tool and you have learned the art of using that tool really effectively.
Exactly. Yeah. So people initially want to get used to the fact that, hey, I can sound a little bit deeper. Now, how do we get them to do that? Is by doing humming over a period of time. Not only is it great, it's almost like meditation for your voice, but it's also a fantastic way to get familiar. So I ask them to do the lower notes when they're humming.
Yeah.
So when you, let's say, do a oh as low as you possibly can, then it's like you found this is the frequency. I need to now match this when I'm talking. So when we are also doing a voiceover, for example, and the brief is that we want the voice of God, the Hollywood promo voice, the deep voice.
Yeah.
So what you do is you set the scale for yourself with a hum. So it's like you hum and then you say, okay, now this is what is coming out because it's matching with the hum.
And that's what the requirement of the commercial is.
Of a particular commercial that wants you to go really, really deep, for example. So there are all these nuances. Then, of course, volume is again an issue. Some people tend to they speak within themselves. So one of the things that I also ask people to do are something very basic, something which all of us can do, which is grab a pen or a pencil and put it in between your mouth. You've seen a lot of actors do that as well because...
A king's speech.
Yes. Yeah. So because they want to enunciate each word properly. So the pen in the mouth basically just makes you open your mouth a little bit more when you speak. Some people don't open their mouth. And
again, that's the transfer of the air.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So pen in the mouth really, really works. For clarity, we also do things like doing tongue twisters, for example. That's again a fun way in which to navigate those sounds quickly, where you are using all your articulators. So many things depends on what they are looking at in terms of their goal. But it starts with breathing. That connection is very profound.
Yeah. Behind every master, there's a human who can cry at the drop of a hat. Have you come across a story of an individual who was bullied because of his or her voice?
Yes.
That brought tears in your eyes. What did you do, and how did you equip him or her to claim their greatness?
Okay, that's a really good question, and I'm reminded of somebody with which this happened. Where the tendency is to, let's say, speak at a higher pitch. Now, one of the things that I've realized is that the root cause of it sometimes goes back to when you were a kid. If your mom, let's say, spoke in a higher pitched voice, right, and you wanted milk, so you tried to speak like her so that there would be that, it's natural human nature. You don't realize that you're that small. If your dad had, let's say, a very airy, breathy voice and you wanted to connect with your dad, let's go play cricket outside. So you started speaking like him. He was habituated to speaking in a higher pitch without realizing that they did have the ability to lower their pitch. It was possible.
And how was that impacting him?
In a big way, but the
That-
amount
that-
of confidence that they
brought out the human
yes,
in you.
Yes, absolutely. And they feel a little bit more muscular about their voice as well. They feel like, okay, I'm the man now.
Yeah.
Because earlier I still get people. I had somebody who called me yesterday, very senior guy sitting in the US. He said, you know what? What I hate is that sometimes when I call someone and they think that I'm a female who's calling.
Yeah.
And that was his pain point. The fact that somebody else on the phone thinks that they're talking to a woman.
Yeah.
So he wanted to work on, again, how can I be more grounded? How can I have a better bass in my voice?
If you were to give a piece of advice to that person right now, quick 3 advices that will help him to claim his greatness.
I would say find that lower frequency that you have. And what you're going to do is you're going to find it with humming, right? So like I said that, like for example, there are certain words that are nasal. So if I could demonstrate to you, for example, if I asked you to block your nose and say ah, no vibration in your nose. Now say the word hang.
Hang.
You felt it?
Yes. Hang.
Which basically, the point I'm making is that it's not that you suddenly became nasal. Certain words require us to have that nasal tonality. For example, if you're humming ma, so thoda sa aayega nasal. Ma. Right? Now you want to go lower, you'll go ha.
Ha.
Ba.
Ba. I'm so
try-
much enjoying this
so-
conversation. It's
so-
like a masterclass for me.
So then try and go as low as you can.
Yeah.
So that's one way of doing it. The other way that we teach initially is that for people who are, let's say, struggling with a lower tone, what I ask them to do is I ask them to do yawn sighs. Okay? So yawn, sigh out. Okay? Now this time put your hand on your voice box, on your larynx, and when you yawn, tell me what happens to your larynx. It drops, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
With it in a dropped position,
Yeah.
I want you to say, like you're at the doctor, say You will find that you again drop a notch in terms of your depth
Yeah.
with a lower larynx. Now speak and match that.
Paran, help me understand. What implicit feedback from people will help you to discover if you have got a soothing or not so soothing voice? I may call it good or not so good voice, or good or bad voice. What are those implicit feedbacks?
One of the things that I would advise people to do, everybody has a gadget today. So you got your phone, record yourself speaking. Now what happens is that most of us, we freak out the first time we hear a recorded voice.
I do till today.
Now, there is a scientific reason for that as well. The fact is that when you listen to your own voice, it's also happening in your skull, in your head. So you are listening to your voice through air conduction and through the conduction which is happening in your head, bone conduction as you call it. So typically, most of us find our voice to be much thicker whilst we are speaking. Which is why when we get a recording of ourselves, we're like,
I don't sound that good.
that's me.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
like, ooh.
You suddenly disown it.
Yeah. So one of the things to do, like falling in love with your own voice is also a process. And the first way to do that is to actually hear your recording and start to get comfortable with it. Now when you record yourself, try and see what is it that you can improve upon. It could be one thing that you probably need to improve upon. It could be removing filler words by replacing them with pauses.
Yeah.
It could be with breathing nice and easy, slowing yourself down a wee bit, just so that you sound a little bit better. Trying to experiment with talking in a lower pitch and getting more and more comfortable with it.
This is so beautiful.
So things like that.
Why am I so excited in this conversation? I'll tell you something that has haunted me for years altogether. There was a time I could not speak properly. मैं तोतला बोलता था.
अच्छा.
हाँ जी.
Okay,
तो
very
मैं ऐसे
difficult
बोलता
to
था.
imagine that, but
हाँ,
I'm
मैं
with
ऐसे
you.
बोलता कि मम्मा ने कहा है कि वहाँ पे दाना है, वहाँ पे दाऊंगा, लित्ता लेते आ जाऊंगा और उतने बाद ना मैं आप तो मिलता हूँ.
अच्छा.
हाँ.
Okay.
That's how my journey started. And you're talking about falling in love with your voice. I used to hate that. I used to hate that because people would make fun of me. And I was blessed with one of those teachers. Her name is Sudha ma'am.
Right.
She helped me to get over that.
Okay.
And then, of course, I could speak properly. But was it a trait that I would go to when I'm threatened? My answer is no. So it took me several years to get to where I am today. And I remember what I used to do is I'll pick up a book, I'll read it for hours altogether. I used to invest an hour on daily basis, just reading that loudly.
Yeah.
And then recording it. So I know when you're saying that you would hate listening to your voice, because now I know that you were talking about that air conduction and the bone conduction. And I would say I was sounding really well. I mean, if only Amitabh Bachchan would give me an opportunity, I would be able to do justice to his voice. But unfortunately, I would listen to my voice. I said, that's a shrieky voice. I would not want to listen to my voice. You know, Amitabh Bachchan was rejected
By All India Radio.
by All India Radio.
Yes.
And then he became the voice of the country.
Exactly.
So when you listen to his voice, how do you rate that voice?
Amitabh
What do you
Bachchan.
think? What is it to learn from him? What is it that he's doing that we all can learn from?
He, I think, mastered this entire thing of the ability to bring your voice on a lower trajectory, on a lower scale. Right? So if we talk about a lower pitch of voice, Amitabh Bachchan is a classic example of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think he did work a lot with his voice in terms of, if you see his earlier movies as well, you would feel that it's not what it is
It's
today.
not there.
Now, age has a certain thing with it in terms of the timber that gets formed as you become older. So if you listen to, let's say, even a Shah Rukh Khan today, and you listen to his voice earlier, now I know for a fact that he's possibly done some voice training as well, because now he genuinely starts sounding much deeper.
Definitely.
Or if you notice an Amir Khan, for example, he of course used to speak very fast also in his initial movies, and now he's
Slowed down.
paced himself a wee bit better, he's slowed down, etc. So yeah, Amitabh Bachchan is a classic example of what you can do with it. I think you should have that ability to say, look, I can create this sound, and then embrace it. Most of us are uncomfortable with it, also because we get a negative feedback loop from the people who love us the most. So one of the things that I realized early in my coaching is that I would tell these guys, I would give them techniques of, let's say, having more timbre, better bass, better lower frequencies, etc. And they would say, but sir, we tried it. And my girlfriend said, what's wrong with you? Why are you sounding like this? What is this? You're sounding stupid.
Yeah.
Now what happens is that our voice is our personality. Now when we start to change our voice, the people who love us and care about us start to think that we are changing somewhere as people in terms of our personality.
Yeah.
You're sounding different, and people freak out. They're like, why are you sounding like this? So I said,
हुआ क्या दोस्त तेरे को भाई सब कुछ ठीक है.
हाँ, ऐसे क्यों बात कर रहा है भाई? So I started telling them that, listen, the people who you love, tell them that, listen, maybe I've been very lazy with my voice and I want to do something about it, and I'm working with a coach.
I'm working with that.
You know, if you feel that I'm not sounding, or if I'm going back to my old ways of becoming lazy with my voice, call me out on it.
Yeah.
The second thing is that find a pair of neutral ears. Find people who have no preconceived notion about how you sound. Yeah. Now it's easier for you to experiment with your new vocal habits.
Those set of friends.
Yeah, with people, with somebody at the grocery store, the taxi driver that you're talking to, you try your new techniques with them. And once you don't get any negative feedback from them,
continue to walk.
You're like, yeah, okay.
It's working.
It's working. and then those habits will stay for much longer as well.
Who's that one celeb or a cricketer or a politician who has amused you by the 180-degree transformation in his voice or her voice quality?
Cricketer.
Or a Bollywood celebrity or a politician for that matter. I mean, deliberately,
I'm trying to think
they have worked
of
on
somebody who would have done that. I wish Sachin Tendulkar had done that.
Yeah.
Of course. I can't really. I mean, I know for a fact that some of the people who do have good voices out of, let's say, the cricket players, I think Hardik Pandya sounds nice. He has that bass voice. Even Jasprit Bumrah sounds nice. I would love to coach our current test captain, Shubman Gill. I think he could do with a little bit of coaching, considering he's going to be maybe all format captain. He's going to be talking a lot on the microphone. So if anybody's watching and listening, forward this to Shubman Gill, please.
Just manifest.
Rohit Sharma is at the end of his career, but his was like a lot, which used to irritate me to a certain degree, and I hope that he would change that. But I would say actors more. I don't think cricketers have really paid attention to this aspect so much of really wanting to change their voice. But a lot of the actors over a period of time have developed better vocal habits.
One advice that you would offer to Sachin Tendulkar?
Just try and sound a little bit deeper if he could. Of course, I have a suspicion that his is a classic case of puberphonia not corrected at that particular age. I think he was so busy with playing his cricket that they never paid attention to the fact that he could have it. And then what happens is that you become uncomfortable with your adult voice. Now, how I know about puberphonia so up close is because my own son went through it. He had this thing where he became 13, 14 and he told me, Dad, like, my granddad has a decent voice, you have a decent voice. What's happened to me? So I said, okay, let's go and visit an ENT friend of ours. So we went and visited him. He said, I think it's puberphonia. Go and do some speech therapy. And I remember they said that he'll probably need about 8 sessions. He needed about half of them, where it is about psychologically telling themselves that, hey, this is your original voice. You've got to be able to switch between the two. And today he has a tremendous voice. And one of the things that I like to do is when we train the younger lot, we like to identify cases of puberphonia that could have spilled over to a certain degree.
In fact, that's exactly what I wanted to understand. That today, if you look at Shubham Gill's voice has become a meme on social media.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Don't you think that people should be more sensitive of that?
I would imagine, but then when you're talking about the meme culture, then they're looking for that little opportunity to poke fun at, to roast. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
And what piece of advice would you offer to Shubham Gill?
Again, I would work with him. He's already a sports person. So I've had a few people, I don't have the liberty to name them, who were ex-players who now are in the commentary box. And they came to me and they also wanted to work on the voice. One of the advantages with people who are sports guys is that they already are very aware of their breathing.
They have got very good relationship with their breath.
Very good relationship. Because they understand that that's required for them to be performing at their peak. So whether they're batting, whether they're bowling, whether they're in the field, I'm sure they have a lot of consciousness. They're aware of their breathing. Now, it's a question of how do you help them in making that breathing part of how they use their voice. Because a lot of people are doing it very randomly. So you're speaking, but you're not mindful of how your breathing is going on while you're speaking. If you can bring that together and you can give them a few exercises, a little bit of humming to get familiar with the sounds that they're capable of making, they would do really, really well. The other thing that would work very well with again, sportsmen and sportswomen is the fact that their posture would also be pretty good. Now, a lot of times, posture is the enemy. And the biggest problem that our generation has is what is called as text neck. spending most of our time like this.
So the vocal cord is totally shrinked.
It's shrink. So if I say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday like this, or I say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday like this, it opens up because
Yeah.
the vocal cords, like you're saying, have the place to expand and they are right where they are. So another thing that we talk about, again, looks a little funny, is that you actually place a book on top of your head. Right? Now, when you place a book on top of your head, what's going to happen is that you're going to have to align your spine. You're going to have to be, your chin will be nice and upright. Your head will be straight. If you push it down, the book will fall off. If you go like this, the book will fall off. Now, I understand that you can't carry a book going through life on top of your head.
Yeah, but you can always imagine. If
You can
practiced
always
really
imagine,
well.
exactly. You can imagine a string at the top of your head which is pulling you up so that you maintain
let's
good
practice
posture. With this,
Might spill over.
Yeah.
Aha!
I'm more used
That's
to doing
fine.
this with a book.
That's fine. Let's practice this. So here's the next question. That's something.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Yeah. But what's going to happen is that you're going to keep your face straight. You will not do any text neck while you're doing this.
I know.
And you'll feel a little strain on your spine as well, right?
Yeah. So
Which
because
is,
it's straight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is good. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, but I think while we are experimenting with this, especially because I get to do a lot of work with the corporate leaders, I think this will help them in two different ways. One, it will help them to fix their posture, as you said it. Second, the vocal cord would be open and they would be able to breathe and speak effectively.
Yes. This is a very good exercise.
How much time does it take for an individual to recognize, fall in love, and transform his voice?
Okay, great question. Gaurav, I would say anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks to really start having that difference that you start to feel. So it's like the gym, right? Initially, you will be so self-obsessed with looking at yourself in the mirror that maybe after 90 days, you start to see the difference.
Yeah.
Then another 90 days go by and then the world starts to see a difference. So I would say about 6 weeks is what it takes initially for you to start getting that confidence, and then another 6 weeks in which people start noticing. More often than not, what happens with my clients is that people can't put a finger on what they're doing differently. They just sound better. They've probably got rid of their filler words. They probably have slightly more depth in their voice.
So if you can share one clear-cut example of before and after.
Okay.
And how the world opened up for that person after 6 to 8 weeks.
Right. So I have one guy who came to me and he wanted to actually improve upon his voice, right? His voice got so much depth in it that he said, I want to become a voiceover artist. So he had no aspiration. He was working in TCS or somewhere in Bangalore. He started getting so many compliments for his voice that people are like, what are you doing? Did you do some theater? Who did you work with, etc.? That he said, sir, I think I'm ready now to be a voiceover artist. And believe you me, today he's getting a lot of work as a voiceover artist because of his ability to have transformed his voice so dramatically.
Yeah.
So he's a classic example that we have.
But how does that impact in a day-to-day conversation? I mean, does it impact is it going to impact my relationship with my family members? Is it going to bring some difference in my relationship with the way I look at myself in the mirror?
Okay, that's again a great question. Now, one of the things that we also work with is the fact that what is your emotional presence when you are using your voice. So a lot of people sometimes have a very dry-ish kind of sound, where even with family members, the emotion that they are feeling doesn't really come out in their tonality. So one of the things that we work with is also how can you get more expressive? How can you wear more of that emotion on your sleeve, and in turn it comes out in your voice?
Beautiful.
So a lot of people, maybe it's the culture that we come from. Like, for example, when people come to me and say that, sir, I have a very flat voice, the first thing that I pay attention to them is their facial expressions. If they have a poker face, they will have a blank voice. Because your facial expressions are the remote control of your tonality. So if you are surprised, you'll be able to catch your audience by surprise. If you have a confused tonality, then your audience will be able to feel that, oh, this guy's confused, maybe he needs more information. If you have a little concerned tonality, people will be able to see it, but you need to match your facial expression. So poker face is great for the game of poker, but going through life, you want to have facial expressions. Yeah. The other thing is hand gestures. Like, for example, emphasis works really, really well when we are communicating. So I can say a sentence to you like, I really love this coffee, right? Or I can say, I really love this coffee. I really love this coffee. I really love this coffee. It just adds to that sentence instead of, I love this coffee.
It adds different flavors to that one sentence.
Correct.
You know, sometime back, you spoke about airy voice. Another word that showed up in this conversation is the hypnotic voice. Mm-hmm. And that's the voice people use to invite the other person in trance.
Right. Yes.
What about that airy voice that relaxes the other person, allows that person to surrender and to just walk with you?
I think it's that the frequency of it all. I think it is also very, very therapeutic, if I may, to a certain degree. It almost kind of relaxes you when somebody has that kind of a tone, which just makes you feel like you are getting a little hypnotized, so to speak. Yeah. So yes, airy voices work to a degree. Also, if you have the ability to, let's say, have an airy voice, then you can't always be in that airy voice space.
Yeah.
If you continuously stay in that, then you will not have that power in your conversations. So that's one of the things that happen. The other thing, which is like a pet peeve of mine, is what is called as the upward inflection. So it's like, my name is Gaurav. I've been doing this podcast for 5 years. So your brain switches from listening to scrutinizing. Why is he questioning his own statement?
Yeah.
Why are you questioning your own name? So some people have a tendency of ending their sentences on an upward inflection, which transmits doubt or uncertainty.
Yeah. And there are people who have got the tendency to stop at the downward inflection.
Which is more effective.
Which is more effective. However, you do want to make sure that you don't eat up the last word. Yeah,
because sometimes when people go on the downward inflection and they're like, my name is Gaurav, like completely, I couldn't even hear the word properly. So sometimes you can do an upward inflection. It's like, I love my wife, right? So upward inflection. But if I said, I love my wife, that would sound like, do you?
Which
really?
one is right? If
so,
any one of them is.
Sometimes in terms of interpretation, an upward inflection can convey excitement, happiness. I love my wife. I love golf. As opposed to, I love golf.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't
So
sound
help
like...
me understand, how can we bring in, because you spoke about that it's with the expression on your face and your body gestures, you can definitely convey emotions through your voice.
Yes.
So pick up any one sentence and I'm going to give you an emotion, you have to convey that. Would that be fine?
Yeah.
Pick up any one sentence. Let's say, I love golf. Happiness.
I love golf.
Sadness.
I love golf.
Surprise.
I love golf. You know, I make people do this improv exercise, by the way.
I can be a good voice coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
This is one of the exercises that I make them do. So there's like a dialogue that I have and there's a dialogue that person has. So then I tell them, okay, now we'll go through the entire... There are 6 core human emotions. There are many human emotions that we have.
But the core one is 6.
Is happy, you can be happy, you can be sad, you can be surprised, you can be angry,
shocked,
you could be disgusted, and you could be fearful.
Yeah. In fear, how would you say that?
I love golf. Like, I don't know. It's just...
Yeah. What are those initial 3 steps that people can take that will help them to refine their voice?
So one of the things that I will pick up from what you were talking about, great habit, is to read out loud. Read out loud. It's not about you developing a better reading habit, but it just makes you a little bit more familiar with your construction of the words and the sentences that you're doing. If you can record them, even better. One of my coaches talks about this, and that's a process that I also introduce now in my coaching, which is that once you record yourself, take notes. That where were you in terms of your volume? Where were you in terms of, were you pausing? Was your tonality in sync with what you were saying? So listen to yourself, review yourself, and then say, I'm going to improve upon this one thing. And then record yourself doing it again. And you will see that it makes a lot of difference. If you can do it on video, even better, because then you'll be able to see yourself.
You'll be able to see your expressions, and you'll be able to see if my tonality is matching with the emotion that I want to convey.
Exactly. So your posture, your eye contact, your movement, like for example, a lot of people, when we record them on camera, they'll have this habit of shuffling on their feet, right?
Yeah.
Now, the thing is that anything that distracts you from the message is a no-no.
Yeah.
So if I'm sitting and talking to you, but you're constantly moving, I'm getting distracted to a certain degree. So can you plant your feet nicely? Visualize that, there are tree trunks growing underneath your feet. Your roots are growing underneath. So be nice and grounded, and you will feel that, yes, there is that power that is
sitting on the steering wheel.
Is coming in all the way through. So posture again plays a really, really important role, like we touched upon. The other thing that I don't want to miss out on is hydration. Hydration also has a tremendous connection with your voice. So if you're mouth breathing, we are dehydrating our vocal cords, but what's the right amount of water to be drinking, right? So this is again a formula that I learned from one of my voice coaches. I'm not the original, I'm only the messenger. Is that whatever your body weight is in kilograms, right? Divide that by 30. Okay, so whatever your body weight is in kilograms, divided by 30, that is the minimum amount of water that you should be drinking in the day. Alcohol, coffee, energy drinks don't count.
Yeah.
We're talking purely of
I'm so
water.
happy you mentioned.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your body weight divided by 30 is equal to so much amount of alcohol I need to drink on a daily basis. Who told me? Paran told me. Paran, who has been your voice coach? and then you will have everything that's written is not for blah, 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 right? So, yeah. So, Paran, who has been your voice coach?
Quite a few. I worked with many of them. So I also, initially I worked with a person called Vin Jiang. He's on social media as Ask Win. He talks a lot about voice, so I wanted to work with him. Then I worked with another gentleman out of the US. His name is Roger Love. Roger Love has been a voice coach for the who's who.
Anthony Robbins.
Yes, as well. He was actually a singing coach from the time that he was 16 years old. He was a singing coach. For the next 15 years, he concentrated on being a singing coach, and whoever came to him and said, can you do speaking voice coaching? He used to tell them, no, go away. But then he realized that there is such a deep connection, and it's quite similar in terms of how you use your vocal power, how you use your breathing to sing, which can translate into how you speak as well. So he's a very interesting voice coach as well.
And I think Roger Love has contributed so much to this industry.
Yes.
I remember Anthony Robbins talks about Roger Love, and if you listen to Roger Love, he has got so many activities that he make people go through.
Yes.
Right? A friend of mine, he was getting trained with Roger Love, and that's how I got to know about this industry of voice coach.
So Bradley Cooper, when he needed to sing for A Star Is Born, also went to Roger Love. That of course was singing, but when it comes to people like Eminem as the speaking coach, I mean, Roger Love's list of is like, it's the A-listers of Hollywood, right? So
let's talk about Bollywood and the Indian corporate world. Which all companies have you given your voice to?
So I have voiced a lot for banks and insurance companies. I don't know what it is about my voice. Maybe it's that it seems trustworthy. So I get a lot of work from banks and the financial sector. Yeah.
Any of your favorite lines that you would like to speak here?
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risk. Please read all offer documents carefully. Initially, they used to make us do it really, really fast, right?
Like
mutual fund investments are subject to market risk. Please read offer documents. But I think then it was made mandatory to stretch them to a certain point, because then we started getting the instructions that take 3 seconds while you do this. No need to rush this anymore. Yeah. It's the most innocuous, boring line to say, but I felt like, a dream got ticked off. Some visualization I did, tick, ye wali line bhi bol di.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Given a choice to you to sit aside either Sidhu or Sehwag, who would like to sit along and do commentary? And why?
I think Sehwag has a great sense of humor. Also because of the fact that I loved how he used to bat. So Sehwag for me would be definitely the choice to sit and spend some time with. The radio station that I used to work with back in when IPL was coming up in 2008, Fever 104 FM, for the longest time, I think even till today, they have been the radio partner for back then Delhi Daredevils, and then they became Delhi Capitals. So Sehwag was the first captain for that team. And I remember we used to have players like David Warner was in that team. Irfan Pathan came and spent some time in that team. So I've actually interviewed all these guys as well during the time of doing radio.
Super. Why don't you share one such episode of the conversation that you had with one of those cricketers, and would love to hear what was the conversation.
Irfan Pathan was always good fun. I think he was pretty articulate for a cricketer. Sehwag was always about fun, and he was like really relaxed and everything. Gautam Gambhir always very serious. He, I think, has a quota of how much he's going to smile during the day.
I know.
So he was not that much of a conversationalist when it came to interviewing. Sehwag was nice and chilled. One of the persons that we talked about, Amitabh Bachchan, I actually had an opportunity to interview Amitabh Bachchan sahab 3 times in my life. And I promise you, when you interview him, he makes you feel like the star. If you have a question that has an extra nuance, he will have heard that and he will answer that to the best of his ability. He has that thing about him that you feel so good after interviewing him. I think it's the humility card that he plays. It's that presence, that voice, all of that combined makes you feel like the superstar after you've done interacting with him. So that was my takeaways from the radio days. He was one of my favorite celebrities ever to have interviewed.
Yeah.
But these cricketers are fun, but they don't talk as much as, let's say, the actors who are also much better trained in this aspect, right?
And also, yes, as you said, that they are not trained. They are not trained to speak as much as they are trained, because Sachin knows that I'm going to answer you with my bat rather than with my
Correct.
voice.
Yeah.
So any of the quick diction tricks that you would like to share to a corporate executive who would like to work on his or her voice? Quick 2 tips.
Fun thing to do is to do tongue twisters. So just Google tongue twisters. You will find many of them, from something as simple as unique New York, you know you need unique New York. Try. Unique New York, you know you need unique New York.
Unique New York.
You know you need
You know you need
unique New York.
unique New York.
Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Even I'm getting stuck.
No, but
which is
I'm still on the unique New York. You know you need unique New York.
Perfect. Perfect.
High five! Yes. How much does a voiceover artist earn? And I know there are different parameters on which it's dependent on. The kind of experience that you bring in, the kind of connections that you have in the industry, which industry are you recording it for. But on an average, this is the minimum, that's the maximum.
Okay, that's an interesting question. I mean, again, like you said, it depends on various factors. So I know for a fact that, for example, I have a lot of my friends who only specialize in dubbing. And now there is a lot of work which has come for these guys, because all of your OTT shows are being dubbed. So the English shows will be in Hindi, the Hindi shows will also be dubbed in English, and the regional languages, etc. So for them, it's like a lot of long form, and it's also a lot of hard work. Dubbing is probably the toughest, because not only do you have to get the emotion of the actor and the meter and the tone, but you also have to sync it to the time in which they're saying it. So sometimes they're doing like one scene for 4-5 hours. That's how long it kind of takes. But that's again good work. Then some people focus only on, let's say, doing e-learning. What I focus on is more of the commercial work. So which is, I would say, things like explainer videos, promos, commercials. So those would be where we are looking at. A voiceover artist, according to me, the spectrum would be anywhere from $500 to $5,000 a month. Possible. Like some of the top guys, the A-listers sitting out of Mumbai, but there's of course 10 times or if not more work than, let's say, a Delhi when it comes to advertising. Would be cracking about 30 to 50,000 to do one line.
Wow.
As well. And then the industry's become better. So initially when we started, we were just charging for the number of words, for example. But now people understand that, hey, this is going to be used on social media, this is going to be a national level promo, this is going to be used on such and such platform. So they also have started adding the element of usage fees.
Got it.
So not only is it about the voice that you do, but also the usage fee, which has made it better for artists. Of course, at the entry level, what I see is that there's a lot of cutthroat competition, and then everybody's willing to go at the lowest possible price, which again not advisable, but then who all can you stop from doing that, right?
While we are walking on that path, so Paran, if you can just share your favorite bit of cricket commentary.
I think for most of us, that iconic moment was Mahendra Singh Dhoni hitting that six at Wankhede Stadium, and as luck would have it, Mr. Ravi Shastri was in the commentator box. That was really good fun. I also really enjoyed Ravi Shastri again when Yuvraj Singh hit those 6 sixes in the T20 World Cup.
Yeah.
He was very animated, and you could almost sense that he was coaxing the fifth and the sixth six to also happen.
So if you were there,
Yeah.
how you would have done that?
I would have just been super excited about doing it as well. So yeah, I mean, those moments have been iconic.
Let's play it right away.
Okay.
So fourth is on, fifth is on.
And can Yuvraj Singh do this? Not many people have done this before. Can he hit a sixth on Stuart Broad bowling? He comes in right arm over the wicket and he swings. And oh my God, this is it. 36 runs in the over, 6 sixes.
Thank you so much, Paran. What a joy, yaar.